Well, the province could have just come in and changed the policy at the city the way that they did out in British Columbia. The Ontario government didn't do that. They put in this policy and said, cities, you figure it out and then send it to us and we'll tell you if we want to change anything or not. And that's the part of the process we're at. And it's been stalled there for quite a while. But the Toronto has these things called major transit station areas. And there's a bunch of them all over the city. And they were originally thought up, well, they were put in policy in 2019 by the province when they updated the growth plan. And what that did is very similar to what Vancouver just did, where it required cities to look at areas between 500 to 800 meters from major transit stations, so subway stations, GO stations, other types of transit stations, and increase density by an amount that reflects a transit supportive amount of density in an area to grow in those areas. And Toronto went and did that to a point. But because it's a provincial, because of the way this works, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing had to approve those policy amendments. So while the province could have just come in and changed the policy at the city the way that they did out in British Columbia, the Ontario government didn't do that. They put in this policy and said, cities, you figure it out and then send it to us and we'll tell you if we want to change anything or not. And that's the part of the process we're at. And it's been stalled there for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
Where,
well, they're a little
Toronto,
busy with other things, I guess.
Yeah, well, and what I can't quite figure out is when they walked back the Greenbelt stuff and said, okay, and the boundary expansion stuff. And they said, okay, we don't want to grow. Maybe we don't want to grow outward so much. Maybe we don't want to pave over lands that aren't in the urban area right now and grow. Maybe we want to grow inside the cities. Well, the corresponding move you do is you release the major transit station area policies and you allow people to do effectively what they're doing in British Columbia right now. I don't know why they're sitting on these things. I don't know why they're holding on to them, whether it's for some kind of well-timed political capital move. I don't know, but it would make a huge difference in the city. And
I feel like that's one of the first things you and I were talking about back in September, is that this thing was coming out and here we go, right? Grab a property. Let's
already changed. It's already changed people's kind of perspective on how they approach sites in Toronto.
For sure. Yeah.
Like, especially you, right?
100%.
The site,
me, yeah.
You got a site that you're working on right now in a PMTSA. We're working on a PMTSA. Yeah. We are. And I don't think that we would be at the point we're at right now were it not for that policy change. And the city looking at it saying, okay, this is different than it used to be. We have to deliver housing in these kind of areas, and this makes sense. And I don't know if you've talked about that one at length on the show. I think I've heard you talk about it a couple of times, but I mean, that's
it's a great example. A great example of like how the planning side is loosening up with regard to proposals and trying to look like they're speeding up the proposal process.
Oh, hey, we're going through it right now. And I think we submitted an application, zoning application to change around a building the building was approved, but we added a bunch more units. We changed around sort of the building envelope. We had to go through a zoning amendment to do it. We reduced the parking from like 130 spaces down to 4, did some other stuff, and it's in the downtown.
Yeah.
And we submitted that application on September 17th. Like this past September, just like 2 months ago. And I'm going to Toronto Community Council next week with a supportive report where they're going to approve the zoning and send it to council. So we're going to have zoning in place on that property before the new year. Right. It's a crazy turnaround. That was unheard of.
Crazy turnaround.
Is anybody putting in applications on that the major street framework that you said that was just released recently?
The 6-story 30-unit thing?
Like, are people taking advantage of that already? Do you have any clients or examples?
Yeah, people started even before the city announced it. Yeah. So what the city announced at the end of September is they're updating the planning permissions along major streets in the city's neighborhoods to allow, like you said, for up to 6-story apartments with around 30 units, and townhouses, 4-story townhouses. So the reason that's significant is because up until now, if you were in an area on a major street, say Dufferin, north of the subway station, all those houses, you get a couple of lots north of the subway station there. Those are all within a neighborhood designation. So that was capped at 4 stories. and you couldn't do anything there that didn't.
Which subway station are you talking about? There's
like Dufferin and Bloor. Sorry.
Oh, Dufferin and Bloor. Okay.
Yeah, like that area, right? Like, the area where there's lots going on. You got the mall to the south, you got a mall to the north.
Oh yeah, north, all those houses. That thing
Yeah,
should
like
have
that.
been like for years, those things should have been 30 stories right there.
Well, right around the intersection, yeah. But as you get further up,
wasn't that Anna? Anna was that district. Didn't she try and get something pushed through years ago? I remember something about that. I looked at all those.
She was always involved in the housing stuff when she was there. I worked with her a lot on the laneway suite stuff, and she was really involved in the expanding housing options stuff, which was the origin of this major street change. So long and short of it is, there's a bunch of places in the city where you could only really build a low-rise house in some form up until, and this isn't even passed yet. But the city put out a draft policy that said, all right, going forward, you can consolidate lots, you could build 30-unit, 6-story apartments, you can build townhouses. And that is a big shift from where they were at. So we have a few projects. I've got 2 on Islington. We've got 1 out on Ellesmere. We've got, there's a couple of them I'm forgetting, different parts of the process. 1 on Christie. Anyway, these are all
describe those
properties.
lots though, just so people can understand what that lot would look like. Like it's 2 residential lots put together. It's a vacant
2,
land. It's a
3,
commercial building.
4.
What is it?
I mean, the one on Islington we're working on is just a corner lot. It's corner residential lot with a detached house on it on Islington, and we're putting
going sideways, right? Like it's on the side street.
So it's deeper on the side street.
That's the one you want. Those, right?
So we're doing and we're kind of in the short.
How wide is the lot
right now?
How wide is it, and how deep?
Oh, you're asking me the stuff that I don't know off the top of my head.
Because they were very specific,
50 by 130 or something like that.
That would Is that good for the policy?
Well, it ultimately comes down to building design and how you're able to situate your units, because you've got some setbacks on either side you need to account for, and you've got your height, but there's none of that stepping stuff that you would see on 6-story buildings in other instances. So we're doing a box.
That's not going to happen anymore.
Just a straight
rectangles
up box
everywhere. That's what we were talking about a few weeks ago. This is what we need. Unfortunately, we need a slathering of ugly, quick architecture all over the place.
But it doesn't even have to be ugly though. Like it's like simple is good.
It does, but yeah, it doesn't. We're not getting twisty things from Mississauga. We're not getting the one if that's ever finished, right? We're gonna get rectangles, 6-story rectangles everywhere, because this is fantastic, especially if you own one already. If you own on a main street a house that's going lengthwise, you're on the corner there. Give me a call, man.
What if your address is like, the side street's address, but you are on the main, the major street's corner?
If you've got frontage on a major street, then it's fine.
That's still good.
Yeah, right? It doesn't matter. The whole intent is that if you're on that street, then
what if
you're good?
Backyard is on that street? Can you flip them around? I think I saw that use in there. Yeah.
So there's, which is really cool, because you've got out in Scarborough, you've got a lot of these backlotted subdivisions with super deep lots that back onto like McCowan, right?
Yeah,
and you drive down McCowan, and it's just these big grass boulevards with board fences as people's backyards on either side. And now there's an opportunity where you can consolidate a couple of those and put up a bigger building.
Like, comment, and subscribe if you got anything from one of these clips. And if you want to see some more, press something on the screen here. Boom.
That was good.
That was good. I like that. That was good.